Hey, Daddy.
Yep, there you go. Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode number 176 of the show, the Geek Bytes podcast. I'm Ramon Mejia.
I'm Edgardo Acosta.
And every single week on the podcast, we bring you the roundup of the week's best geek and tech news. We discuss that news and, of course, anything else we happen to be interested in this week. And geek news this week, we're going to be talking about
the possibility of lightsaber fights in the Olympics, HoloLens 2, Electric Boogaloo, folding phones, new movies, canceled Marvel shows, the Oscar results, the movie trailer showdown, and much more.
Absolutely. And of course, we get our show, though, with geek news. And we are going to start the show off with lightsaber news. We're actually talking about the Oscars a little bit towards the end of the show just because it's a longer chunk of stuff. But this week, there was an announcement of the French Fencing Federation, the FFF. I prefer Double F for Final Fantasy, but the French Fencing Federation ruled that the unusual sport of lightsaber dueling is now officially recognized as a competitive sport. And while this might not seem like a big deal to most people, what this actually means is because it's recognized as an official sport, it is now possible for this to be added to professional sporting competitions like the Olympics. And even if that may be unlikely for some people, that community was super jazzed about it, and it made the rounds this past week and weekend because it looks like it's such an awesome sport. Like genuinely, this is kind of an exciting thing to see, especially if you're like a Star Wars fan. And you just, because they will show up in costumes. I should probably turn off the music for that.
Yeah.
Show up in costumes. They're super energetic about it. And it's like people, big and small, different, shapes and sizes, all actually doing a thing and, being involved in the community. And it's fun to just kind of watch. We're showing you a clip currently of the TSL Saber Resolution number 3 from 2019. So that competition. And you can see some of the weird combinations of gear, like samurai gear with fencing gear, extra padding, and of course there are like demonstrations later that like the program of just staged combat scenes with lightsabers and stuff. But this is an actual sport now. So man, what do you think of this?
It's a combination of things. I don't know how long they'll legally be able to call it lightsaber battles because Disney owns it.
Yeah, they own the.
Right.
It felt like it becomes a common word at some point. A lightsaber competition. It's an official sport. It's like, somebody owning the word soccer ball. You know what I mean? At that point, it becomes it's common vernacular.
They can't call it like Jedi fights.
They're not calling it Star Wars lightsaber battles sponsored by Disney. It's just, you know what I mean?
Copyright.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, this is
and all that.
Yeah.
But they have had Jedi Academy training in a bunch of places. It was pretty much with wooden sticks, swords, pretty much. And that's what they kind of look like. They remind me of those bamboo training swords.
Sort of.
But they just added the
lighted and highlighted. Yeah. And it's the same kind of concept. There's some other medieval fighting things that are super brutal. Like these guys show up in these full on metal armor, realistic
with morning stars and chains,
full on blows and everything.
God.
Those things are pretty brutal. This is a more elegant weapon,
like fencing, pretty much just one little jab and tab, and you're.
For a more refined time period. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. Don't have jokes.
I'd go dirty, though. If it's like a glow stick, I'd snap it open, just pour the liquid on the other guy. I win.
Take these photons.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. But I realized, even though it's a dragon, I swear it looked like the Rebel logo on that guy's.
It looks like a Rebel logo. Yeah. It's basically slightly modified to avoid copyright issues, I think.
But yeah, you saw the others dressed up as Spider-Man.
I saw Deadpool. That was Deadpool, but it was
Slade.
Slade, yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Modified version.
Deathstroke.
Okay, on to some more tech entertainment news. We have Microsoft this last week announced HoloLens 2, which is kind of a surprise to everybody because HoloLens 1 didn't do well. Much like Google Glass, the augmented reality section of technology has not been doing as well as many people have thought it would be. But Microsoft has not been giving me up. They said they just announced HoloLens 2 at a conference in Barcelona. And man, this thing kind of impresses, especially compared to the first versions. The entire equipment scene has actually improved. Now, instead of projecting light directly into a user's eye, so that from a small screen, what they're actually doing is using a laser scanning display that expands the field of view. So basically bounces a laser through the lens that covers the eyes. And then essentially makes it go from this small little field of view to something like twice as big.
Panoramic.
And it's not quite panoramic, but it's takes up most of the glasses field of view, which is most of your human video. Like if you look directly forward, things get blurry aboutish here.
It's called your peripheral, man.
That's essentially what your field of view is. You have anything beyond the kind of fuzzy is a peripheral field of view, which you don't really focus there. And that's kind of the area that these glasses seem to be covering is most of that, inside field of view where you're focusing mostly. Apparently they're saying that it has twice the original HoloLens, 47 pixels per degree, which is still very fine. It gives you some very clean, crisp images, apparently. In addition to that, there are new additions in hardware to the glasses, like hand tracking technology that essentially allows you to grasp and move and twist objects that are being projected in front of you. Even though they're technically on the screen in front of you, the glasses portion, you're interacting with them because you see them in real. From your perspective, it seems like they're just floating around in front of you. And there's already hand tracking technology that allows you to interact with them in a very natural, instead of having you have to do like specific gestures to like zoom in and zoom out. Apparently, according to the demos we've seen online, it just lets you interact with it naturally. And in addition, there apparently is also eye tracking, which will basically let each lens automatically correct for like different people's eye widths and lengths. And also track where you're looking. So like a lot of interesting new software. It is super expensive though, $3,500 for this particular product, and it's not really geared towards consumers yet. Apparently it's geared more towards industrial opportunities, where like people are looking at machine parts and then breaking them apart or seeing how to repair them, and things of that nature. But it's available to people for pre-order currently for $3,500, and it'll also bundle in some other software and stuff. So what do you think of the technology, man?
Oh my god, it's like steps before. Right now it's still a headgear set that you deal with, like glasses wearing.
Yeah.
I don't know how long it's going to be before they become contacts.
That's a lot of miniaturization, but I guess the technology is possibly able to do. Like right now, I see it shrinking from, like right now, it's essentially like almost this helmet you put on.
Yeah.
And it's like a half helmet, because it doesn't cover your entire face. And at some point, I can see it shrinking down to like regular glasses size, I suppose, if the technology is miniaturized enough.
It's like the Google Glass is going to be the next step, but just literally an earpiece.
No, yeah. That's basically essentially where I see it going at some point, but it's kind of a long way off. Because they tried Google Glasses first, and for the aesthetic portion of it, and the technology making it functional didn't really work that well. And so this is kind of a step back aesthetically, but technology-wise, it's kind of a step forward. And even though this is a promo for Microsoft, it kind of indicates some of the applications for augmented reality technology.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of cool.
And especially if it's just the one eyepiece. It'd be pretty much that scanner from Dragon Ball Z.
Kind of. And I like the interactivity of it is like interesting, and like I think the thing that is accurate is the way that they're interacting with the images with their hands.
Yeah.
It's like it feels more like I've seen some actual demos of people using it at the conference. So this is a working technology, and it feels like they're interacting with it in a very similar way as is promoted here on this particular Microsoft commercial, essentially. So, but
just think Iron Man 1. Sort
of. Yeah, super fun looking, and like it feels like science fiction is becoming reality every day of the week. So,
of course, gaming is the biggest thing that
that's what you're looking for. Everybody, yeah, zombies, aliens coming at you. That's all stuff where, but for $3,500 just for the headset, I'm like, okay, it's a little expensive.
Remember, it's not about the system.
Your Xbox is $350, $400, I think. The PS4 and the Xbox are like $400 ish range, right? And so compared to $3,500, which is someone's mortgage payment for 3 months
for something that's pretty much strap on your head.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, it's less approachable, I should say, by the general market. Okay, next story, more technology stuff. I thought this was super funny because last time we talked, Samsung had announced their folding phone called the Galaxy Fold, and a week later, Huawei announced the Mate X, which is also a phone. that folds in half. And apparently this one looks better. It's also thinner and it folds thinner. So Huawei is definitely upping their game and throwing down the gauntlet against Samsung and their particular foldy phone.
Yeah.
And so we have some pictures here of like somebody using it and folding it and stuff. The specs are, let's see, it's a 4G. 4G. It's going to folding thickness of a mere 11 millimeters, 8-inch wraparound OLED display, 4,500 milliamp battery power, a Kirin 980 processor, which is all essentially pretty standard. Nothing super fancy there, but like the big gimmick is that it folds to save space. So it goes from phablet size to phone-ish size, so it'll fit in your pocket. It is expensive though. It's super expensive. It's about $2,600 in United States dollars.
Yeah, I went to a Walmart and just saw the little tablet displays. They're averaging now, like, if you want a good one, $200 to $300, but the cheapest one, $50.
Yeah, like $2,000. I'm like, that's an actual full size computer thing that does a lot more than your phone.
A way more awesome gaming system.
And this is definitely a little gimmicky, but it might be the way that the technology happens in the future, in that it is collapsible. It is very and honestly, like folding screens in general are kind of impressive in that the screen itself is folding. There's no seam there. It's like breaking it off necessarily. It really is, once you unfold it, a one whole unit. So I'm like, oh, that is kind of impressive to a degree. Because like you thinking about you folding your television, I'm like that's not going to go well.
Yeah, it's because especially the expanding is. The beneficial part is like web pages, because you were very limited to a screen, and you get expanded by putting your little two fingers and zooming out. But now you could actually make the screen bigger.
Yeah. It basically kind of like makes the phablet more portable, and I'm like, okay, that kind of concept is definitely useful for a lot of different people and a lot of different uses. And again, it's just expensive right now, but the more popular it becomes, the more of a consumer hardware becomes, the more that price will drop to being more reasonable.
Wasn't that another one that I think we covered that folded in two sections, so it became like a tri-folding?
Oh yeah. So I mean, lots of products coming out. We also saw televisions that were rolling up before.
Oh yeah,
from CES.
Show me an origami folded screen into like a little bird or something.
Oh yeah, you're gonna like a little a screen monitor,
exactly,
a horse or something, or a duck.
Then you'll impress me.
There you go. Okay. Next story, you might be getting a new Xbox. So it's announcing it pretty soon. More recent reports for different places like Jesuit Video are saying that there's going to be a new console announcement at E3 2019, which is going to be this year. And then by 2020, we're going to have new Xboxes, not just one, but two. Their current code names are Lockhart and Anaconda. There are specs out on the internet floating around saying that their releases and so I'm like, oh, I wouldn't believe them too much until an actual physical mass. But yeah, it kind of feels like it's about that cycle time for a new console from Xbox. So wouldn't be surprised. This feels like it's going to be true. Are you excited to see something new? Or you're like, no, I just got this Xbox. Why are you doing
I just got a PS4.
Yeah.
And I'm content. I am content. Like I've said it once, said it before, I said it a billion times. I don't care how awesome your system is. It's about the games. If you could come out with a great game for that awesome system, go for it. But for even every new system, when I got it, when it first came out, I was the first one to get, not the first one, but I was one of the first people to get like a PS2. The only games that they came out in the very beginning was like Dynasty Wars and a really lousy 3D Street Fighter game. Launch titles are always very hit and miss unless they want to push their big names. Like for especially Nintendo, of course, their go-to ones were Link and of course Mario. But very other games, nothing out there that's really worth me. Like, oh, I need to buy the system in order to play this game, and that happened to me with the PS4 and of course Kingdom Hearts.
Right.
But that was it. Everything else that's been out for the system, I can get for either or. Nothing's really impressed me. We covered the story a little bit about Xbox games being even available for the Switch system. So. Once again, it's all about the games. It doesn't matter the system.
Yeah. You can have the best system in the world, but if you don't have any content for it, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, because PlayStation was also doing their thing too, getting their patents for the PS5, and
Yeah, we'll see. And like I said, these iterations are just they're prettier, they're faster. You can do more things graphically with them, but fundamentally, you're still using the same controllers as you were like a decade ago. They're just prettier games, and there's technologies that have kind of shifted the way we interact with those games. Or like the Nintendo Switch, the Nintendo Wii, maybe the Xbox game. I forget what it's called, where it scanned you and you would interact with the world in the video game. Those kind of things, new interfaces, create new opportunities for new types of games, and not just the same stuff. But still, I'm curious to see what changes this new system is making. Maybe it'll integrate virtual reality more. That seems to be a trend kind of going on. So we'll have to wait and see.
If anything, instead of coming out with new, more expensive stuff, come out with new, cheaper.
I think they're probably like, oh no, the old system, totally cheap now. Go get it. Yeah, they're like, oh, but you have games.
Exactly.
Okay, on to some entertainment stuff. We have, apparently, even though most of our Marvel shows are going away, there's going to be a new Marvel animated show coming to Hulu. It's going to be directed by Kevin Smith. And it's going to be for Howard the Duck. That's right, folks. That Howard the Duck that you probably don't remember if you're under the age of 20. You've seen him in some Marvel movies, but he actually had his own film many moons ago.
Technically, he was the first Marvel movie.
I think technically among the first. Well, I'm not sure how that actually plays out. But of course, I guess Leah Thompson is also going to be starring in this animated version of Howard the Duck, directed by Kevin Smith. It'll be on Hulu, and that's the news.
He's also, I think, involved in the writing of the story of Howard the Duck. So, especially with Kevin Smith humor, depending what route he's going to go. And I wonder if they're going to have, especially if they're going animated, because it was CG in the end credits of Guardians of the Galaxy. They did have Howard the Duck, and it was voiced by Seth Green.
Yep.
So who knows if Seth Green in that version of Howard the Duck will be reprised.
Yeah. So, interesting bit of news that a different kind of Marvel character is coming to the mainstream.
Did you watch the original?
Howard the Duck. I've seen the movie Howard the Duck, yeah.
Well,
I always thought it was weird that she had sex with him at some point. So I'm like, oh, that's okay.
The funny part, they actually had a little little condom too. The little it's like a finger cot, but it was a duck condom.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was an interesting take on it.
But still, interesting stuff, and I'm always a Kevin Smith fan, so I'm happy to see anything he does.
Yeah.
Next one. Interesting news about Captain Marvel's Brie Larson. Apparently, she's signing for a 7-picture deal with Marvel, even before her movie comes out. It's sort of a, what's his name? Captain America. That guy, he had a 6 or 7 picture deal as well. Mm-hmm. That just expired. So I'm thinking that they're trying to replace him with Captain Marvel instead, since she's a little bit younger. She appeals to a female fan base. His character might be murdered off in Endgame at some point, but this includes her current movie, which is the original solo Captain Marvel film. This includes her part in Avengers Endgame, which is the second one, and then there's supposed to be 4 more movies, and she's apparently being paid more than $5 million per movie at this point.
She is technically the next gen for the Marvel characters, because rumor has it this will be Endgame will be Mr. Robert Downey Jr.'s last movie.
Yep.
The rumor is also with Mr. Captain America, Chris Evans.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure about the other ones. The rumor is
all the other Chris's.
Pretty much. What's her name? Black Widow.
Yes,
she's
supposed to be getting her own movie and
supposed to be rated R
and a television series.
What?
Yeah, she's remember her and Loki are supposed to be getting
Loki,
a television series. So I'll have to wait and see that. But Captain Marvel is already doing well. He's projected opening weekend for $160 million, which is pretty darn good. So we'll have to wait and see what actually turns out. So I mean, you can see a lot more Brie Larson if Captain Marvel actually does really well.
Oh yeah, her stuff's already out in stores and everything. So we'll see what they turn out.
Yep. Now in wrestling news
/ Marvel,
yeah, / Marvel, we have Chris Hemsworth apparently is going to be playing Hulk Hogan in an upcoming production for the WWE in line with Netflix. The WWE has actually produced a couple different films recently, and this is going to be their next one apparently. The current one that they put out is in theaters now, called Fighting with the Family, I think it's called.
Fighting with the Family,
yeah. And it's actually really good. So I happened to see it this weekend. I loved it. I thought it was really nice. I thought of you the entire time.
Awesome.
Even my wife thought it was nice, and though she wasn't a fan of the wrestling parts, she was definitely a fan of the strong female character, coming of age, heroine kind of story. And it's there are definitely points in that story where oh my gosh, something stuck in my eye. And so it was a good movie. So I'm happy to see that the people who are producing that are producing this as well. Even some like really big names associated with this, including director Todd Phillips from The Hangover and War Dog, Scott Silver. Also producers like Michael Sugar, Bradley Cooper, Phillips, and of course Chris Hemsworth. So they're all on production side of it as well. So they're invested in its success.
I wonder how old they're going to age him, because Hulk Hogan, if it wasn't for that bandana, he has that horseshoe pattern receding hairline.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's going to be willing to shave his hair off.
Yeah.
I think according to the particular article I was reading for the story, they're going to go with the younger Hulkamania.
So the
Hulk
coming
Hogan.
of Hulk Hogan.
Yeah. Basically his origin story, obviously. And then also moving into like his beginning portion career to his and ending with the fame of Hulkamania. And they're not going to go into the sex tape stuff or any like the fall of it or his divorce,
family,
any of that other stuff, because that feels a little too much modern drama. I'm sure they want this to be like a nice, happy, go getter.
Yeah, that'd be for like an unauthorized biography.
Yeah. I think they've already seen those. I think A&E has something like that.
Yeah, but do you think Hemsworth's got the chops
to be a wrestler?
Yeah.
Sure. I think they said he has to bulk up a little bit. Apparently,
for Hulk Hogan?
Yeah, Hulk Hogan had like massive 32-inch pythons.
Oh, that. Yeah. I don't see the classic shirt rip, the finger point, the brother, you know that. Man,
he's not a small guy anymore with the more recent Thor films, but still, Hulk Hogan definitely worked out a ton, and I can only imagine like who they're going to try to get for
Macho Man,
like all the other characters. I'm thinking Andre, then like who can you get for Andre the Giant, who's going to be sort of reasonably looking like him?
They got the technology to CG him.
There's like CG him, yeah, that might be how it goes. But that was definitely one of the more famous fights.
Or they do the funny kind of camera tricks where because obviously he's so tall, so they only show this part of the camera where he cuts off and he has to look up.
That's how they cut away. It's like, this is your biggest match ever, Hulk. Oh, okay.
Exactly.
And that's it. And then they cut away. So yeah, fun stuff.
It works.
It
works.
But looks like some of these wrestling films are definitely on pace to be popularized, mostly because they remind you of superhero films, I think, in a lot of ways.
Totally.
The storyline, the adventure, it is sort of fictionalized kind of concept, but there's actual fighting and battles. There's real physicality in there, and it does hit the nostalgia button as well for a lot of people. Okay, next story. This one was definitely a little off. When I heard like, apparently Hasbro and Transformers are going to do a crossover comic, and that includes the Ghostbusters Ecto-1 turning into a Transformer called Ectotron.
And it's awesome because it's real. They made it legit. This past weekend was the New York Toy Fair. So a whole bunch of releases of new things coming out.
There's an actual toy for this thing. And I think I feel like the toy came out first as a concept. Like, okay, how do we sell this thing? Crossover.
Beyond. They've actually, because of the licensing, Hasbro owns the rights to so many cartoons. The best thing to do is cross them over.
Yeah.
G.I. Joe has had a crossover with Transformers in the animated series, and they also in the comic books. They even did a thing where even at New York Comic Con, they've had the Transformer vehicles merge with the G.I. Joe soldiers that they're like the soldiers are riding the Transformer vehicles.
Right. Kind of like this is in this picture here that we're showing you of the Ghostbusters riding on their Transformer with like, it looks like a ghost Starscream in the background.
If you know your Transformer folklore, there is a ghost Starscream.
There you go.
So that's the part that I find hilarious. They're gonna bust the ghost Starscreen.
Yep. So there you go. So that's probably what this storyline is, but apparently it's going to come out in the next couple of months. So you're not going to see it anytime soon.
But that toy, I think it's expensive.
I feel like if this is definitely just like like those animated series they made just to sell you toys.
They did it for they did the crossover also with Marvel characters. They also did a crossover with Star Wars.
Yeah, crossovers are nothing new, but this I thought was kind of fun.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay. Next. We got sad news for you folks. Apparently, Netflix has finally announced that they're canceling Marvel's Punisher and Jessica Jones. Those were the last two of their Marvel properties that are still coming out. The latest season of Punisher came out recently. Jessica Jones season 3 is maybe 4 is scheduled to come out pretty soon. But then like after those, that's it for them. And it's not like a huge surprise to anybody, I think. Because like the really big titles like Daredevil has been canceled, and even And Iron Fist was canceled, but nobody really cared about that. Luke Cage was a much bigger deal. Jessica Jones and Punisher, just like the last two what ifs.
And they're their big blockbuster ones that they were rating juggernauts. They were just fame.
Nobody doubts that they did well for Netflix. It's probably along the lines like, oh, Marvel's going to charge you more if you want to continue to use these properties. Like an absurdly amount. Like it's probably an intentional thing like, oh, pricing out Netflix so they can then use those properties themselves for their own production, whether it's going to be on Hulu or on Disney+.
Well, since the DC app, I heard, is not doing that well.
No, they actually have apparently some really good content, but that's kind of it. They have like 2 or 3 shows and not a whole network worth. Even though they have like a bunch of back catalog stuff, people are showing up for these shows, and then when they see them, then they just cancel. Like you can watch their entire lineup of shows in a week, and then like just cancel and like never go back, and like you're not missing anything. And that's kind of the issue, I think.
Well, there's also, the third party comic book stories that they haven't done. A possibility is if they've done it for HBO, like a Spawn series.
Oh no, yeah, they definitely have like content. They have characters and backstories that they could do. It's just making that stuff takes time, and it takes a ton of money. And when you're a new service right out of the gate, like literally less than a year, like that becomes unattainable. Like becomes really unaffordable.
Yeah, especially if it's a lot of
subscriber base to pay for it.
Especially if you have a lot of effects, so you got powers and abilities.
No, they do.
Unless it's a basic dude just walking the streets or whatever, like
I think at some point that the DC app is going to go away, and they're just going to sell that content somewhere else, like on Netflix or Hulu or somewhere. Because I don't think it's doing well enough to justify, at least short term. They might be willing to take the loss if they think that they can make money in year 5 or 6 or 7 or something.
Yeah.
But we have to wait and see. Okay, more entertainment news. We have Jason Momoa signing up to star in Dune. In Denis Villeneuve's adaptation of Frank Herbert's Dune, there are so many stars there. Jason Momoa is just the latest one. Apparently, he's going to be playing the Sword Master of House Atreides, Duncan Idaho. So he's the right hand of the main Dune guy. Have you ever seen Dune?
Dune, yeah, but I don't even remember that.
He was the sword. He plays. I want to say he played Patrick Stewart's character. I can't remember, but he's the Swordmaster guy who teaches Paul Atreides how to fight.
Oh,
yeah, that's it. So
Dune I watched, but it just didn't grab to me. All I could remember was, of course, deserts and the little plug thing that they put in their nose
thing. The recycle their water. For them. Yeah,
they kind of look like Borgs in a way.
A little bit. But yeah, so there's a whole long cast of people, including Oscar Isaac, Rebecca Ferguson. We have Stellan Skarsgård. Dave Bautista is going to be playing there. Rachel Rampling. Zendaya is going to be the love interest. And then, of course, there's the newcomer, Timothy Chalamet, who's going to be Paul Atreides himself. We also have Javier Bardem, who's going to be Stilgar, the leader of the tribes of the desert people. And we also have Josh Brolin, who's going to be Gurney Halleck, who's another good guy. So, but there are plenty of big star names. So this actually looks like it's going to be a real film with real actors with lots of money put into it. So we'll have to wait and see it action. But there you go.
Did they try to reprise Doom once, like in a Sci-Fi Channel or something?
No, yeah, they did a really good job actually. There's the older movie from the 80s.
Yeah.
There have been a couple made-for-TV movies that actually have been really decent, and Sci-Fi is probably the best one because they not only just do, they don't just do the first film, they do the second and third as well. So it's not just Paul Atreides, it's also his kids and their adventures in the Dune universe. So like some really good stuff, and they're like, but not just, they're mini series. So there's like 12 episodes in there per section.
All right.
So yeah, lots of good stuff there. Okay, next. Oh, Golden Girls. That's right. Apparently there's going to be a Golden Girls cruise for fans of that particular series. It's going to be, I forget who's going to do it, but it's going to go from Key West, from Miami to down to the Key West to Mexico. And there's going to be a bunch of like Golden Girl themes events, including Captain Sail Away party with cheesecake, Golden Girls Forever, the Rusty Anchor karaoke party, which seems like it's a sex thing, but I don't know. Dorothy's Bingo, Golden Girls Trivia, Shady Pines Craft Corner, Golden Girls stage shows and drag queen shows.
Yeah.
Key West Golden Girls bar crawl. I'm like, I don't know the Golden Girls bar crawling, but okay. Then there's a Golden Girls costume contest and fancy dinner.
That had to happen.
Yeah, and there's plenty of other things that we're only touching the base of, but it's going to cost you between $1,000 and $7,600. So depending on how fast and how long you want to go with this thing.
Oh,
It's a
yeah.
whole thing. Like, I don't know if you'd be interested in this cruise. I'd be curious to see like video footage, whether it's
Oh,
going to be
yeah.
a bunch of older people or if it's like a mix of old and young. But is there any kind of themed cruise you would be willing to go on to?
Oh, the Disney ones, of course. The Disney ones I would have seen.
I'd be okay with Star Wars, Marvel, maybe.
Yeah, they have those. There's always been other types of like little theme cruise, murder mystery ones on.
I'd be less interested if there were kids there. Like, I'm not a big fan of
No,
like, kids confined to like a very limited space, unless like there's a kids section and grown-ups can just
daycare-ish.
ignore them. Yeah, you can just drop off your kids and go have a good time with the grown-ups. But yeah, like more adult themed, like, oh yeah, these are all adults. We're all grown-ups. We can drink and we can have a good time. And I'd be more interested in something like that.
Oh yeah, but Betty White is the only surviving one, right?
I think she's the only one left alive.
Yeah. So unless everyone else is willing to pay the money to book her to
Right.
because that's the only one you got left.
Hans joined. Hans Limu.
Hey man, let's see ya.
He might be that one person who's watching live right now.
Yeah. But yeah, I watched a show. I was a Sunday, excuse me, somewhat of a fan. Did watch it because it was one of those like, what else are you gonna watch? But the show grew on me. Like, I knew of B. Arthur, but I never watched Maude, so I didn't know her origins or anything. Much less Stell Getty. I remember her from her movie
He was like
roles that
apparently
she's
the
done,
youngest of them all.
which was the weirdest part. Is like no offense to her,
Like they aged her up a little bit, but yeah.
yeah, but I would check it out. And of course, Betty White, a classic. She's
No,
a
I
gem.
think she's probably the most famous Betty White. Like, she's been working for like forever. I remember kind of catching up on some of her older things, like watching her on the Mary Tyler Moore Show, which I wasn't aware of that she had been on.
Yeah, and Dick Van Dyke.
Yeah, but she had a regular cast role on Mary Tyler Moore. She wasn't a one-off actress. I mean, she did a one-off part in, like, I think season 3, but she became a regular in like the last 2 seasons. I'm like, oh, I never remember watching those last seasons because I think the show had dropped in popularity a little bit. Like the first 3 seasons where Mary looks much younger.
Yeah.
Were probably the more popular reruns that were playing around when I was younger. But it was really interesting to see someone who basically looked the same, slightly like smoother skin, but like the same personality. But she wasn't this character. She was like much more like, oh, this racy character. I was like, oh, that's fun. That's interesting.
Yeah, and the joke was also the Golden Girls were pretty much the future of the Sex and the City girls before the Sex and the City girls came
Yeah,
out.
this would be essentially retired Sex and the City girls, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
The
interesting
innocent
take on
one,
it.
the responsible one, the sexually advanced one.
Oh, yeah.
I get what you're saying. Okay, but yeah, maybe some cruise like that.
Cough up that kind of money to hang out with some seniors.
Yep. Next story, more Momoas. This time, Jason Momoa cookies. This is actually, I think, a brilliant marketing strategy. This was on the newsfeed this last weekend. Apparently, there's a Girl Scout who sold out all of her cookies by pasting a picture of Jason Momoa and changing the name of the Girl Scouts cookies from Samoas to Momoas. And she sold out of all her stuff. So, the big... Yeah. So.
Color printing costs some money, man. I don't know how, unless she's connected to somebody in the printer business. Yeah, color printer stickers or whatever. I don't know how she pasted them on there. But my biggest thing that I commented about it is like, I'm surprised DC didn't sue her.
Well, I mean, you're gonna sue the Girl Scouts and like,
Oh yeah, shut them down.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, if they let girls into the Boy Scouts, they should let boys into the Girl Scouts.
That has nothing to do with your last argument, buddy.
Equalism.
But yeah, it is equal. Like, this is a brilliant marketing, and she actually made the top cookie CEO of her area. So she sold the most cookies in her entire area. People are also noting that her mom is a marketing professional, so she might have had a little bit of help. But still, that kid had to go out there and hit the pavement with these cookies, and it just nice marketing. And Hans in the chat room, he agrees. He says that is genius.
The other part was the backlash, and I'm saying backlash because some people, everybody had to put in their comment about it. How they're using sex to sell, the sexualization of men. If they were to put a hot chick on a box of cookies, suddenly, oh no, you can't have that on there.
I don't disregard those comments. That this is what equalization is. Though this is called equal treatment. If women can be exploited, or women can be women can be used. Why not men? And that's what equality is. Like, he posted those shots. He wasn't unaware. It's not like they took like secret shots and used it for marketing purpose for Aquaman. It's there for a reason.
Yeah,
because it sells, and that is correct.
All right. So as you can see on the cover of that box, bare man, bare chested. On a box of cookies, you're going to see some topless girl, selling Oreos.
I think the caption online was, Jason Momoa cookies make you thirsty. So
that's true.
That's what it was.
Get some milk, ladies.
Yep. Okay. On some sad news, we're going to go from that to something else. Comedian Rudy Stevens, he died this last week from apparent suicide. I know we're smiling, but this is very sad news. We just happen to be talking after the funny Samoa one. He was 48 years of age, and it's been confirmed that he has died. There are a bunch of people on the internet, fellow comedians who knew him and loved him, who post their sadness about it all. So I know you mentioned this, so I thought I'd throw it onto the show.
Rudy Stevens, it's kind of not ironic, funny. Do you know any of his work? Like, he's had a lot of podcasts.
I've basically seen him on the podcast. I've seen a bunch of stand-up situations. I remember him in a few movies, and he does a bunch of cameos. He never really hit super famous. He hit super cameo famous.
Yeah,
on television.
He's a local. He did a lot of stand-up stuff. I was listening to a podcast called Uncharted. Not Uncharted. Who Charted? With him and some other comedians on there, and I was like, oh man, I literally just listened to him the other day.
Yeah, nobody disregards that he's super famous and funny. Really super funny. It's just he also had issues with depression that everyone was kind of aware of. So I don't think it was a super surprise that this happened as much as it was I wish he would have talked to me, or I wish he would have gotten help before he did this thing.
That's the biggest dark side of comedy. A lot of the people are the funniest comedians have the darkest, harshest pains that they put through, but they put a twist on it and put humor to it in order to be able to express themselves. Because who was the one big surprise that was depression?
It's usually
Robin Williams.
The people you think are the happiest are usually the saddest because they're hiding their pain and suffering with big smiles. And a lot of comedy derives from pain. And I think I agree with you on that point. Hans in the chat room says a bunch of sensitive ass people nowadays.
That was the cookie. That was the cookie comment.
Oh man, that was the worst timing ever, Hans.
That was there was an equation for comedy too. It was tragedy and timing. It was it's all a matter.
So good timing.
Yeah, exactly. So Rudy Stevens, there's so many comedians that and some of them do have counseling, they do have issues, but not all of them talk. No, a lot of them bottle it inside.
A lot of people are saying if you feel this way, look for help. Here's some numbers and stuff.
Talk to friends, talk to people.
A lot of other people are also just celebrating the things that he did accomplish, the happiness that he did bring in life. So it's sad to see this happen to anybody. But
I haven't caught him on after shows, obviously the day after, so I haven't caught that.
He also had his own television show, I think, for a little bit on Comedy Central or something, but it didn't go well. So, but there you go. So that is sad to see Rudy Stevens go.
Yeah.
Okay. Next bit, Oscars.
Oscar talk.
Oscar talk.
As I don't know who declared it. The gay Super Bowl.
I guess I'm not sure. I gotta ask you, do you think the Oscars are even valuable anyway? Do you think they have any merit in the modern world?
It's popularity contest,
people
man.
Judge every single movie instantaneously, and they're judged by box office numbers and reviews online. Do the Oscars have any merit?
I want to say no.
No? Yeah, I don't really think they do. I mean, maybe internally, people are really jazzed about, I got this award that's supposed to be really prestigious.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm I think for most people, it has less me in back in the day when you basically didn't have the same insight into Hollywood life and Hollywood movies, characters, and these super famous people. I think the Oscars were one time of the year where people could listen or watch their favorite actors and actresses get together. It seemed like this really interesting Hollywood party where America could get a glimpse into it. But in the modern world of every single celebrity having a Facebook page, a Twitter page, an Instagram account, and almost streaming their entire lives, that seems like has less of an impact, I think.
I mean, the word is pretty much going for the best story, best who's the best pretender.
Yes, and I'm not saying that the Oscars aren't reflective of somebody's opinion.
Yep.
I don't know that it's necessarily the people. I always thought the Oscars are more along the lines of, these are professionals critiquing each other to some degree or another.
And you got to think of their times too, their eras. Because
Hans in chat room says a lot of us are fooled by a fake smile. Yes, sir, that is. And I know he's commenting on that last sadder section portion of the news, including the Robin Williams comment. But we'll talk about the winners that we thought were interesting.
So the main one that, let's be honest, we kind of stopped talking on behind the scenes because we were getting into it. Well, let's geek out on recordings.
I think the best picture winner was The Green Book. It also won best supporting actor, best original screenplay. Other movies that were up for best picture included The Black Panther, although nobody really expected it to win.
My thing is Green Book. No promotion that I know of.
No, there was definitely there were trailers. There was a less of a low key, like in your face promotional work.
Was it like a Sundance kind of movie?
No, it's a big film. Like there's Viggo Mortensen there, and you have
who is he? I don't know any of these guys.
This guy?
Yeah,
Lord of the Rings. He is Aragon. He's done like less like famous roles, but he's worked ever since Lord of the Rings. He's done some really good stuff.
And I'm gonna go and call him this because that's the only way I want to describe him. Who's the black guy?
The guy in the back of the seat.
Yep.
He's done a lot of different things. He was in the first season of not Iron Fist, Luke Cage. He was the bad guy in that movie.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember what his.
I'm gonna bring it up because I have no idea. Thank you, IMDb.
Yes. Let's see who the actors.
The Green Book.
DB. This is how we look things up, folks. Because I forget his actual name. I don't want to.
Gotta love technology. If it wasn't for that, we'd be. Oh my Mahershala Ali.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that I'm the guy from Luke Cage. Is probably his better known.
He was
role.
a good bad guy in that.
No, he definitely was. He's an intense actor and he does a good role here. There is a little bit of a controversy in this particular film. A lot of people cover with that. Oh yeah, this is one of those white people save you movies, and it's kind of a little bit of a downer in some respects. Because I think there were. I mean, I want to say this from the viewpoint of like, African American people have compared these two films, Black Panther and The Green Book, and that the Black Panther is definitely a high octane entertainment movie, but it's also an inspirational movie where the African American people or the African people are the heroes.
Yes,
it's about their overcoming challenges, but also like they're always in power.
Their own community.
Right, they're always in power. No white guy saves them, basically. Right. Yeah. If anything, it's the other way around. Yeah. On the other side, there is The Green Book, which is a much more issues of racism. The Green Book essentially being
definitely a time period,
a guidebook for African American people traveling through the United States. It was a book that basically says, act this way here. These are safe places to go. Avoid these other issues, like a travel log for African during the time of like racism and other issues and civil rights. And so that was part of the story. But there was also the issue of like, it's kind of white people save you kind of storyline to some people. I haven't watched it. I can't speak for that in any way, shape, or form, of course. But comparing the two, people always knew that The Green Book was going to get the win because it's more of a downer movie than the happy Black Panther, and not everybody was kind of happy about that.
That's what I heard about the what was it? What's the Lady Gaga? Cooper song one.
I forget what it's called. The Stars Among Us. I can't remember.
No,
I don't remember what it's called. Like, I mean, it's in here somewhere. It did really well. I didn't watch the movie though, so I was less invested in it.
I didn't watch the award show in general. I do want to watch it. Hopefully, I'll probably catch it on demand or something just to see how it turned out, because it was the first one because Kevin Hart issue.
There was some controversy. Just a couple.
So it was done without technically a host.
And I think they were also like, we're not going to do it live. We're just going to like stream it, and then they changed their mind at the last minute and made it live again. So like there are a bunch of issues. But some actual comic movies actually won some stuff, so that was really cool.
Yes.
Black Panther won Best Costume Design, Best Production Design, Best Original Score. But they were like, no, your story's not good enough, basically. But here's some awards for your technical aspects.
Which isn't it always weird that don't you think a movie that won Best Direction, Best Screenplay, pretty much what made the movie doesn't win Best Picture?
Yes, it is a choice. I want to say that Black Panther was definitely the more popular movie compared to The Green Book. Like more people went to see Black Panther and I think loved it much more than this movie. But like I said, it's more of a critical analysis of the film's merits, I suppose. But still, it's nice to see a superhero movie win some awards. That's always nice.
There has been a little behind the scene about the Motion Picture Academy, of who's in it, who runs it, how it operates. But that's for a documentary for another time.
Like I said, but also another superhero movie that won something was the animated movie Spider-Man Into the Verse, which is actually a really amazing movie. Not just animated,
so
but
well
movie
done
in general. I love the stylizations of all the different kind of characters and the comic book inserts of like, having bows and pangs and whams as like actual graphic representations. And like there are actual different animation styles and art styles for each one of these characters. Even the art style is changing throughout the movie. And I'm like, there's some really good technical stuff. And also the story is entertaining and it's fun and it's interesting and it's, it does incorporate some cool stuff. I thought it was great. I'm happy to see that it won Best Animated Feature Film.
Yeah. Who knows what's going to happen for next year? Do you think Endgame has a chance?
Now that they're allowing superhero films for Best Picture, probably. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what it comes down to. It's like,
yeah, because a lot of for those kind of movies, they were always nominated for effects,
separate categories,
but never for like the story.
Like, no, this isn't a real movie. This is one of those dumb, I want to make money movies.
Yeah. The only other category that a lot of people kind of wish they would have representation is Best Stunt. Because a lot of stuntmen literally risk their lives on these movies to give it that pizzazz. Even though you could CG a lot of things, a lot of people aren't getting that acknowledgement. There's so many. There has been recorded moments where actors, even stuntmen, have died just to film a scene for these companies.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, animation is fun too. So Hans, let me ask in the chat room: is Robert Pattinson really playing Batman? No.
That's rumors.
That is a rumor. There is no reason for that to even be true.
That's like the Daniel Radcliffe Wolverine rumor.
I would boycott that. I would rather see Daniel Radcliffe. I would rather see Harry Potter play Wolverine. Like, I think it would be a good opportunity for him to get out of the comedy roles or like the goofy guy roles into like a more actiony role. He's a young man, but Robert Pattinson is not going to be Batman.
No, right now it's internet talk, so everybody's saying you can start a rumor right now.
It has been confirmed that Ben Affleck has exited. But that's a long confirmed for a very long time. They are going with a younger version of Batman for the new version of it. I'm not sure if they're going to have the same actor for the Joker movies, or for any of those other Suicide Squad movies that are coming out. But there you go. But definitely not Robert Pattinson. We don't need sparkly Batman.
Yeah, because I don't know if he's old enough now because it's been a while. But even the kid that played Bruce Wayne in the Gotham TV series.
Oh, yeah, he's tall.
Yeah,
he got tall.
Did he bulk up or mature or develop?
He just became a teenager and he sprouted up. So he's not really about young Bruce Wayne anymore. He looks like he's 16, 17.
Oh, he doesn't have cracked voice though. He's like, hey,
no. And that just happens when you have child actors who are just on the cusp of teenagerhood. Like, if this is successful, you're going to have to account for that and change your storylines. It can't be about the kid's story anymore.
There's, of course, always the internet talk about, like, well, if we're going to change it, let's change it all the way around. Let's make him black. Let's make him girl. Let's make him Asian.
Why not?
Let's make him this.
They talked about doing a black Superman.
Exactly.
They talked about doing a bunch of black other characters, and they're not outside of the realm of possibility. Like, very rarely is race an issue for major superheroes, unless you're thinking of them as representations of a particular class or culture. Like Black Panther being black is probably an important aspect of that character. But white Superman isn't necessarily, depending on somebody. I know Mark Warren from Fat Man Beyond has a different opinion on that. Yeah. But like a lot of characters, like if you change the skin color, it doesn't necessarily change who they are. You can add other flavors to it by doing that. As we've seen with making Spider-Man African and Hispanic, like adds an interesting flavor. Take, but that's an entirely different character. Than white Peter Parker. But yeah, all that stuff there. And more comments from chat room says, did Henry Cavill really come back to play Superman? He has not yet.
Nope. He's also, unless the check clears, he's not.
No, he's out of contract. He has no obligation to do so. I'm sure here for the right price, he'll be happy to renegotiate to appear in Justice League or Aquaman or wherever else. He was offered a cameo role in Shazam, and he turned it down, basically saying, I'm not really getting paid for this.
Yeah.
You're not really doing anything with my movie title. Like, when's the next Superman going to be? Why do I have to be a character in someone else's movie every single time you want to see me? Especially with like the Justice League's snafu with his like mustache and beard that they couldn't get negotiated, but they had to CGI it out because he was filming that Mission Impossible movie, and they didn't want to let him shave. And so I understand his viewpoint, and also he probably has enough money that he doesn't have to just say yes to every single role.
Yeah.
But I'm sure he's more than happy to come back for it if they give him the right contract, or they give him the right negotiation, or like 3-deal movie contracts or whatever it's going to be.
Yeah.
But currently, right now, he is not Superman. Not that they've said they're remaking it or changing it. Instead, they're shifting perspectives from Superman to other characters like Supergirl and Suicide Squad and Birds of Prey and those other movies instead.
Yeah, the one that's in the rumor mill right now, and everybody wants to see it happen, is the Batman Beyond.
Yeah.
With Michael Keaton reprising his role as Batman, but of course older Batman for obvious reasons. And who would right now?
I would be okay with old man Affleck Batman or old man Keaton Batman. I think Keaton's more fun though.
Yeah.
Because he does have a different take, and it would be a nostalgia thing to pull him back into the Batman role, even if it's as like they age him up a little bit and make him train a new Batman for Batman Beyond. I think that would be really fun.
Totally.
Okay, on to the movie trailer showdown, folks. We got our next part. So we have a couple trailers. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, because it's been 2 weeks. And we're going to start off with something fun, Aladdin. We'll start off with Aladdin. This came out a couple weeks ago, February the 10th. And boy, was there issues with this, with some viewers. Yeah, it's not a horrible. Let me pull it up. Sorry, I forgot to pull up on the screen. But yeah, to me, nice blue landscape. It's very deserty. It follows the introduction of that movie from the Aladdin Disney movie. The thing people had issues with was definitely going to be Blue Genie. Like they complained before. The Entertainment Weekly did
because he wasn't blue
pictures of everybody, the whole cast, and they showed Will Smith as the genie, but he looked like Will Smith, and people complained, "Oh, that's not the genie I remember from the movies. What the heck is up with this? Why is this human-looking genie hanging out here?" And they explained it away, saying, "Oh no, that's just the human-looking form of the genie. Like when he's doing the whole going down the middle of the city scene, he looks like a human,
a friend like me kind of
right."
thing.
Yeah. But then in this particular trailer, they show the genie with blue Will Smith genie, and people definitely had issues with that as well.
Everybody hated the CG Will Smith face on the big buff.
Memes galore about like other blue characters that are just like appearing out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I'm like, and I think Hans in the chat room says, I don't like how Will Smith looks at the genie either.
Exactly.
So
it's
like,
the face. The body is cool if they use somebody else. The biggest thing on it is like, if you're going to have a big buff dude, get a legit guy. Use Terry Crews.
Yeah,
he's funny.
There are also issues like, oh, he's a black guy who's essentially a slave.
Yeah.
I'm like,
technically the shackles.
The shackles are there, and with the look, I'm like, yeah, I guess I can see that, but it's still character acting. Hans also said he wants Michael Keaton as the Batman, so I agree with that as well. I think it would be kind of cool.
So I would have kept the blue genie, but like even a CG blue genie. But obviously, keep the voice of Will Smith if you're going to go that route, and just straight out CG the whole face.
Yeah, I mean,
like somebody, even a made up character.
It does feel weird to see him look so different than Will Smith.
Yeah,
and like you're paying for Will Smith, not just that part of his face. Like, why not just make wispy legs Will Smith hanging around? Like, you don't have to make him super buff. Like, that was a very exaggerated character for the animated series. I don't think you need him to look like super huge and bulky, like he's the Hulk essentially.
Exactly.
That I have more issue than his blue coloration, because that does actually match what showed from the animated film. So I get why they're doing that.
Exactly.
Okay. Next trailer, we're gonna go with The Hustle. So, have you seen the trailer before?
The show?
No, it's called The Hustle. It's a movie. It has Rebel Wilson.
Oh, I saw the trailer. Yeah, but you said it's I think on your notes it was a remake of a Dirty Rotten.
Yeah, that's what it's based on. Have you seen the original movie?
Not the original Dirty. I know of, but I have not seen. I think it was with. Gonna have to look up who the original was. I want to say it's like somebody.
Let's see if anybody in the audience knows who was in the original Dirty Rotten Scoundrels.
Who?
Oh. If anybody in the audience knows who was in the original Dirty Rotten Scoundrels.
Who's going to beat me to it.
That's right. You can win one audiobook code, folks, if you're watching live.
All right. I already got the name, so...
No one? The one person watching doesn't know?
All right, gonna count down for 3, 2, 1. Your two leads was Steve Martin and Michael Caine.
Yeah, Steve Martin, one of these earlier roles.
So Rebel Wilson is Steve Martin, and what's her name? The Princess Diaries chick.
Yes, Princess Diaries chick, Anne Hathaway.
There you go. She's pretty much Michael Caine.
Yeah, I actually like the younger versions of these people because the older one was like had older looking men, and it was a little more goofy.
What's Steve Martin?
It's a very interesting movie. I don't think it'll work with that particular movie works well with the modern audience because it is slightly longer. And I'm like, okay.
What amazed me more is seeing the MGM, not even the MGM logo, but calling it out, the Metro Goldwyn Mayer. I think that was the old film company. And I was like, oh man, I wonder if they're gonna bring back the old lion.
Yeah, but this was still a fun movie. I actually like this take on it. I mean, Rebel Wilson has been doing some really fun stuff lately. Mm-hmm. So I think it's a really good combo. I do also understand that they're not trying to be them specifically, even it's the same premise. Mm-hmm. So yeah, looks fun. Actually, if you watch a trailer, so I've seen it several times in the theaters, and it looks interesting. I like it's very much of a buddy comedian-esque film. Mm-hmm. And Hans and Tramp says, "Oh, he was on his bathroom break. He missed the question and the opportunity. So it's okay, buddy.
All right.
Sorry. Yeah." You left your camera on, so we thought you were there, man. Yeah. But yeah, this actually, I think it's a funny film. Would you go watch this?
Yeah. I don't know if I'd pay to watch it in the theater, but I would eventually, catch it when I can.
I'm probably going to watch it with my wife.
So what do you think?
I'll be honest.
So what do you think? Cameo or no cameo by Steve Martin and Michael Caine? Because I think they're both alive. Yeah.
Why not? Like they can be. I think that would be a really nice little touch.
Especially that casino scene. They just like having to walk by each other or something like that.
I think that actually works out well.
Yeah.
Okay, next one we have, I forget, it's Triple Frontier. No, it's Action, Long Shot. I think Long Shot is probably the next comedy one, which is a good one. There we go. Long Shot with Seth Green. No, not Seth Green.
Seth Rogen.
Seth Rogen. I knew it was one of the Seths, not the green one, but the Rogen.
The Potsmark with the
yeah, Seth Rogen and Charlize Theron.
Yeah. So interesting take on this.
I thought this was like really cute, to be honest. Like it basically takes the movie, what is it, The President, and turns it into it's like a slight prequel to it.
Yeah, and the little joke in it was like it's like Pretty Woman, man, except that you're Julia Roberts and she's the other guy. I can't think of his name either.
I feel like it's weird that I'm getting older and just forget things now. I'm like, I used to be able to remember these things. Why can't I remember this?
Because you drink a lot.
Yeah, that's it. It's the chronic alcoholism that comes with the author title. You can't be an author unless you're an alcoholic, apparently.
Well, you got to have some kind of vice.
Ask Ernest Hemingway.
Yeah, man. Any good artist of any kind has some kind of vice.
Yeah, they need something to pull from.
Yeah.
He says that
want to try heroin?
Maybe later when it's legal.
Cool.
Han says Long Shot looks like a good movie. Yeah, it really does. I like their chemistry. Mm-hmm. I like the concept. And again, it kind of pulls from like this place. I forget what the name it's called.
Washington D.C.
No, there's a movie where like the president he becomes a new president, but it's also a romantic comedy with like he's dating somewhere.
Yeah, I think it's something called like dating Mr. President or Mr. the President's something.
All the president's
dalliances.
Yeah, I don't actually recall.
Yeah, but it's funny, especially the whole you're gonna interested in you becoming the female president. You're you're Secretary of State. I was like, which state? All of them. No, that's just like
those are books.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm looking up.
There you go.
American President. That's definitely one. There's also another one.
Yeah.
The American President. Let's see what else we have.
That's the main one that I could think of. There's not too many other like funny takes on the president movies, but especially with say he just became single or his wife died or something like that. Yeah.
But yeah, that actually looks like a really funny movie as well. So I like that one too. We have some more ones, including Yesterday. I think Yesterday was probably my surprise favorite of the trailers that I've seen.
Oh yeah.
And I lost the thing. Sorry.
That's a different trailer for a different movie.
I type in a button and the screen changes.
For the guys that are not fans of Lucy Kay, he's being replaced with Patton Oswalt.
Oh, in the movie, was he in this movie originally?
Well, in the dog one that we were just watching the trailer for Pets 2. But in this one, definitely. the title alone, like yesterday, and automatically in my head, a Beatles song popped in.
It did. I honestly didn't connect it to this movie because I thought, oh, he's time traveling or something. Or yesterday was the good day because he had a head accident.
Exactly.
But man, this movie really spoke to me. I was like, because I think all of us at one point or another have just had this thought of like, what would I do if I could time travel? And one of the things for me, at least, I always come like, oh, I would take all the popular songs that I knew were coming out or movies and just present them as my own work and make millions and billions of dollars, right? And that's exactly what this movie does to some degree. Like, this guy has an accident. He's a guitarist and a musician who's just like not doing well. But when he comes back from his accident, the world has forgotten or doesn't know that the Beatles ever existed. And so all the songs that he's playing are being presented as his own. And he doesn't intentionally try to like say, oh, I'm taking advantage of this, at first, at least, according to the trailer. But like, why not? These songs exist and he has an advantage as a creative person. And so I'm like, oh, this is super fun. It definitely uses music that you already love, but it's a very interesting, almost time travel story-like premise.
Yeah. And especially for the era of that time, you didn't think a Beatles song would carry over, but Beatles music is very
timeless.
Popular.
Yeah, some of it is.
Yeah.
Other ones not so much, but like early Beatles music is.
Yeah. But the part that I found more interesting, especially being a Beatles song, you think it'd be about four guys, but it's just him.
No, yeah. I mean, just the acoustic versions of this of all those songs, are always amazing to me. This one I thought was like, we're like, oh no, he's kind of serenading a movie star.
Yeah.
But he's ignoring the girl at home who's technically hotter, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm glad at least I don't recognize this actor from anywhere else. So, give a break for him. And of course, licensing for the Beatles music. So if you're a Beatles fan, you're going to love this movie.
Oh yeah.
Just to hear it.
It's a romantic comedy, but it's also like this, like I said, very interesting conceptualization of like, what would you do if you had the power to claim someone else's work as your own?
And right there, this scene, where they said, "Hey, these two guys claimed that you took in their music," and of course, you see bare feet and shoes. You already know who.
Well, you don't actually know. Like it's the implication that it's some of the original Beatles.
Yeah.
Because they so would have lived and died in the modern world. They just would never have been famous. And the concept was like, did they continue to write music, or did they just write a couple and like not ever make it? So I'm like, At the same time, I love this bit about changing "Hey Jude" to "Hey Dude"
with what's his name?
Yeah.
The red-haired ginger dude.
The red-haired ginger dude
that everybody else likes.
Something Sharon, I think.
Yeah,
something Sharon. Hans in chat room says, when is Doctor Strange? When is Doctor Who coming? Sorry, man, I'm more of a Whovian. When is Doctor Strange 2 coming out? When it's ready, when they film it. I'm like,
I think next year, of course, after Endgame, they got to figure out how they're going to work storylines.
I don't think they've even done. Sorry, a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah, because right now it's there's a lot of theories that are happening with timelines, especially after Endgame goes down. Because there's a theory for the new Spider-Man Far From Home, that they're trying to say, and this is just rumor theories.
No release date at this point.
It supposedly takes place before Thanos arrived, and especially if you watch the Infinity War, that scene where he's or Spider-Man's in the bus coming back from wherever, like field trip and stuff. Supposedly because of the time connection, that's where he comes back.
Yes, that I definitely saw the Spider-Man version of like, he's like, hey, I have a message. I'm like, oh no, he's from the future, or he's from the past or something. I'm like, oh, I recognize that. But there definitely is going to be a time travel aspect, including like the quantum verse, I believe, as well, for the new Endgame movie. But again, I'm not sure if they're planning a Doctor Strange at this point. I'm not sure they're doing script writing, but there's nothing been announced as far as the release date. Filming hasn't started. Pre-production hasn't started on that. So they're getting out the other movies from first, include Avengers Endgame and Captain Marvel. Those come out first, so we'll have to wait. I'm sure they might actually make an announcement or a trailer during one of those movies for it. But right now, nothing on the schedule. We do know they are making it, though. Okay, next trailer is going to be Triple Frontier, which I was surprisingly intrigued by. Ben Affleck is in this movie, as is, what's his face? Pedro Pascal. Yeah. So like, yeah.
Charlie Hunnam, man. If you're a fan of Sons of Anarchy, you'll recognize him as Jax Teller, but that's not him, the character. That's the actor.
Yeah. So I thought this was a very interesting action movie of like, oh, former Marines, former soldiers who are actually using their skills for their own benefit for once. And that's sort of the premise. Like, they're going to rob and kill a drug dealer. So they're doing something good, but they're also going to get paid for it on their own. They're funding their own project, and it's technically illegal, but you're robbing a drug dealer in Mexico, so you feel less bad about it. And then things just don't go well. They don't go like it that. Yeah. And so this trailer, I mean, this movie looks really interesting, and the action is definitely up there.
And you see that Netflix money. This movie, quality-wise, you think it became coming out in the theater.
Absolutely.
But no, it's a Netflix exclusive.
Yeah. Oh, have you seen that new, I forget what it's called now. There's a Netflix movie. This is essentially about an assassin retiring and then the rest of his group coming to murder him.
Oh, wow.
I forget what it's called now.
Sounds familiar, but
it's there. It's super violent and it's super R-rated.
Like Kill Bill, but
it was definitely made for Netflix again. It's definitely more. There's a bunch of breasts hanging out there, like a bunch of like just everywhere, like in the beginning of the movie, and there's like over the top violence. But I thought it was pretty good by the end of it. There's a nice little twist towards the end. I just forget the name of it.
Yeah. No, the last thing I saw on Netflix was the Dr. Chen. If you ever watch his show, I forgot his.
Oh yeah, like his Netflix special.
Yeah, his. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't think most people liked it, to be honest. Everybody I've talked to about it, like, said, "Oh no, this was totally disappointing." Like he basically does a lot of name dropping.
He's just trying to cash in on his Hangover character.
Yes, and to a degree, just for a show too. But at least that's him and his character. The Netflix was like just disappointing here. Yeah. Hans asks, "Are they really doing a Morbius movie?" Yes, that's absolutely true. They do plan to do a Morbius, the living vampire movie. I believe Jared Leto is going to be Morbius, if I'm not mistaken.
I think that's the time.
Yeah.
We'll see how it works
so it's
out.
an actual movie, and this is definitely playing on the success of the Spider-Man Homecoming movies, but more so the Venom films. Once Venom made buckets of money, Sony was like, "Hey, look, we got a bunch of Spider-Man villain properties. Let's go with these guys." And that's what that is basically. It's a money grab. I mean, not necessarily a bad money grab. Might turn out to be a really cool movie. It's a nice character, but we'll have to wait and see. Okay, we got two more left. We got The Highwayman and Rocket Man. The Highwayman. I actually thought this was interesting.
This was an interesting take, definitely for sure. Yeah. Pretty much two Texas Rangers hunting down Bonnie and Clyde.
Yeah, it's definitely like The Untouchables, the Road to Perdition kind of stylization of like
period film
of a period piece. But it's the hunt for Bonnie and Clyde, told from the perspective of the Texas Rangers who go chase them down.
Yeah. And it's not also the...
So it's interesting to see Kevin Costner, like, older, but not trying to be super charismatic, but also it's, like, a little crusty and, like, shooting people. That's why it reminded me more of The Unforgettables in that respect.
He's like, I don't chase people. The bullets do that for me.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, to a degree, that's kind of the attitude there. So if you like The Unforgettables, you'll probably like this one as well for very similar reasons.
Exactly. I don't know who they got for Clyde, but it did show the Bonnie character. They showed
Bonnie a little bit, yeah. Towards the end, I think.
So it's not...
But it's not really... It's about them, but it's more about the chase of them.
Exactly.
And like the transition between older style policing and new modern technologies. So
like walkie-talkies. When I saw the big guy and the big cop and the skinny cop, in my mind automatically went to Laurel and Hardy.
Yeah. I never got to see the movie. It came out... I heard it was well received by critics. I never got a chance to watch it though, so I was a little sad. I'll have to watch it when it comes out on Netflix or on Amazon or something. Okay, one more, folks, and then we'll make a decision on what movie we really liked. It's Rocket Man, and after this ad, apparently.
It's pretty much another biopic of Mr. Elton John.
Yes, but this one seems...
Did you watch the Queen one?
No, I haven't. I never saw Queen. I didn't see Bohemian Rhapsody.
That guy did win...
They did win some awards, though, yeah. And he was also in that other movie, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, Rocket Man. I actually liked the visuals on this because it's almost a fantasy version of this biopic. And I thought it was really cool, actually. I love the fantasy aspects of like his vision of the world and how it influenced his music and artwork. I'm like, that's very an interesting perspective of a creative person.
And I did not know he had a different name, like his legal born name.
You thought it was Elton John?
Yeah, that was one. Oh, all right.
Okay.
But, the John family? But funky take. Now I totally see the one guy's name that we couldn't think of it at the second.
Like, oh, that guy.
Ed Sheeran.
Oh, Ed Sheeran, yeah.
Sheeran, yeah. So I see his likeness in him, minus the glasses and all that. But I don't know who Taron Egerton is. Like, I don't know what his work, what else he's done. Because obviously, with young guys, you could only do so much unless you were a child star or something like that. But yeah. Definitely had a lavish lifestyle, Mr. Elton John. Of course, he's another one that
once he became famous and he was allowed to essentially be himself. Yeah, but like that was definitely part of his issues in striking the balance between being famous but also being culturally accepted because he wasn't always openly gay.
Yeah,
to the world and to the media,
and of course that era of drugs and partying.
And so that shift in perspective, like he's famous enough where he has to make a decision: do I continue on letting people think I'm straight, or am I going to be myself and risk all that money and all that fame and all that popularity? I think that's a very interesting aspect of the story as well. So a lot of great stuff there. I would actually go to the movies and watch that. So we have 7 trailers, folks. Which one did you like the best? And Hans Lieber says Bohemian Rhapsody was pretty good. Okay, I'll believe you.
Cool. All right, I got to go yesterday.
Yesterday,
something about the Beatle music.
I know, I think that's what it was. Like, it was yesterday was the trailer that definitely impressed me the most. Like, I like the other ones.
Yeah.
I've seen them though. I've seen them multiple times at the theater.
And the concepts I've seen before.
And yesterday feels like this really interesting, like, what if time travel-ish perspective. And the music alone is really gonna like touch a lot of people because we all love the Beatle music, but would you present someone else's work as your own if nobody was ever going to catch you and you can make millions and millions of dollars?
It's been
kind of question. I think a lot of people would just say yes. And this movie kind of answers that question and does it in a very, I think, entertaining way, hopefully.
My question is on it, obviously, I don't know how true he is to the lyrics, so I feel like he might not know a couple lines, so he'll have to kind of like modify and make it up.
No, he's a songwriter, but it's him. You're like, oh, yeah, that's right. What if you forget something? Is he going to change it?
Yeah,
and then suddenly it's not a copy. It's original.
Exactly.
Like, hey Jude to Hey Dude.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Going that route.
Okay, you could do that as well. So there you go. That's the show, ladies and gentlemen. Yep. Oops.
There you go.
That's the show, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for hanging out with us and watching. Remember, if you want to support the podcast and every show perform, about all the ways to do so at
geekbytespodcast.com/support.
There we go. For Geek Bytes Podcast, I am Ramon Mejia.
I'm Edgardo Acosta.
And remember, folks, until we can hang out again, remember to go geek out about something.
Yeah.
Goodbye, everybody.